I'm Greg. I'm still at the London WAN Summit, and this time I'm talking to Mark Sollars from Teneo. Mark, I don't know too much about your company. I haven't seen you before, and it's kind of a surprise. But what's the one thing about your company that people don't know?
People don't know that we're a specialist integrator of next generation technology. So what we do is if you look around this room now, there are many different vendors in this space who are all telling everyone the same thing. So
each vendor has its own story to tell. Some of them are unique, right?
Yeah.
So we've got different vendors. Silverpeak has a different special focus. Open Systems has a specific focus.
I agree that, but what they will also do is they'll speak, when they're talking to customers, they'll talk about the standard SD-WAN features.
Yes.
What we're doing as a company globally is assisting our customers through that mire of SD-WAN. So we're sitting down with our customers and actually understanding what are their business challenges, what are they trying to do, and working with a number of the vendors in the space to help customers actually say, right, these are the ones you might want to look at.
Yep.
We then work with them through the pilots, and we can also then offer managed and professional services on the back of that. What we also can do...
So you're more of an integrator of SD-WAN.
Correct, yes.
Not so much a manufacturer or maker of SD-WAN.
No, that's exactly right. We're an integrator.
So you do it instead of talk about it?
Yes.
Yeah, so a vendor does something and then chats about it, makes all sorts of promises, usually hollow promises.
Yeah.
You're going to live with the reality of trying to make it actually go in the real world.
And what we're trying to do is also tell customers that we're giving them the real world experiences.
Right.
So a vendor will tell them everything is wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll have been through a number of different scenarios and actually say to them, maybe it's not as great and you want to think of this and this.
Yeah.
But
we discovered there's a certain amount of pain if you go down this path.
Yeah, exactly
but there's a path of happiness down this.
But also it's about then understanding how are you going to prove the performance.
Yeah.
So people are saying SD-WAN's great. People are saying that it's going to be a cost savings, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But actually, really what it comes down to is your user experience of your business applications. So we're able to provide customers with that visibility.
So I've got a working theory that your average enterprise doesn't actually have the competence to deploy and operate SD-WAN.
You said that earlier.
I like to call it as I see it.
Yeah.
Would that be a fair comment? And so companies like yours are necessary to help bolster the in-house competence?
I would say partly it's a fair comment.
Yeah.
I think that where we've been getting involved, it's been quite interesting when you're starting to do a high-level design and then you can get down to the low-level design, that people go, is that really what's happening at that site? That talks to that.
Sure.
And that's, so I would agree that these networks have evolved and maybe the documentation is as they think it is and they think it works a certain way and it probably doesn't.
Yeah.
And so somebody like us
SD-WAN is so different too. Like SD-WAN is not just like put a router in and turn on a routing protocol. It really is much more active, and then you spend the next 5 years fiddling around with cost strategies, and artisanally handcrafting every single one, right? SD-WAN is much more coming in at 10,000 feet and establishing policy and then letting it go. And letting the network do its thing rather than, handcrafting each packet.
I would agree with that. You have to start. That's where you have to look at the business challenges and what the business is trying to achieve, and then design your policies and everything around that. It's a bit like putting in a next generation firewall, but actually still using your stateful inspection.
But it's a lot easier to get involved with the business challenges because you're not wasting your time crafting up CLI, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And you can sit in meetings without having to be distracted by, how can I make an access list that does this? And you go like, I can't. So what's the point of being in a business meeting? Whereas you can actually genuinely do policies in most SD-WAN policies.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge though with SD-WAN is, and I've just written a blog on it around, is it becoming a distraction now with it just filling up your LinkedIn feed? So actually, is it part of your strategy?
Sure.
And the real... vendors will start talking about zero-touch provisioning, it's great, you can just do it. But as you just talked about, if you don't understand your network, you're not going to be able to just throw a box in and do zero-touch provisioning.
Sure.
So you still have to go through that process first.
Yeah.
You have to understand it. Once you've got the base SD-WAN in, then fine, everything will work. But until you've done that, it doesn't work.
Well, on that note, I think we'll call it a day. This has been Greg Farrow doing an on-the-spot interview at London WAN Summit. Thanks so much for listening.